Today, I'm going to try to draw this monument and church in Tbilisi, Georgia, and right off the bat, totally unsure of where to start. I'm going right for the monument. Since this is more of an organic shape than many of my typical drawings, I'm using my pen as lightly as I possibly can to try and sketch it out. I don't want to commit to anything before I have a decent idea of the proportions. And that being said, it's probably a good thing I started here because by starting with anything else, I'd be locked into very precise proportions with no wiggle room. This way, if I need to make something smaller or larger to accommodate something else or to align with another piece, that's not a problem. So if I make her shoulders too wide, I can respond by making her, head bigger or something. I think you get what I mean. Anyway, speaking of the monument or sculpture or statue or whatever, I'll just say statue going forward to keep from confusing it for the church. This is called the Mother of Georgia. It's a 20-meter or 65-foot tall aluminum statue erected in 1958 for the 1500th anniversary of the city. It depicts a woman in traditional Georgian dress, even though my drawing will make her out to be a lot more masculine, but whatever. In her right hand, she holds a sword for those who come as enemies, and in her left, a bowl of wine for those who come as friends, both of which I find fitting. It's a very cool statue that stands atop Sololaki Hill, and it's yet another thing that you can see from pretty much anywhere in town if you look hard enough. Next to her, on the left, which is not next to her at all, but actually quite far down the hill, directly in front of me, is a church called the Holy Mother of God Church of Bethlehem, which was originally built as an Armenian church in the 18th century, but has since converted to a Georgian Orthodox church. As you well know, it's one of many beautiful structures in this city, and I'm pretty sure that it's the same one I drew a few days ago from above. Hard to tell because there's another one to my left and another one to my right. Anyway, this whole area is incredibly beautiful, as you can see, so hopefully I can do something nice with it by the end. But before the end, if you're enjoying this video or this series in general, first, consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. And second, let me know you're here with a like or a comment because I need to prove you're real and not a bot. So go ahead and do that for me. That's definitely why I want you to do that. And also, if this is your first time here, I'm learning to draw while I travel the world. It seems to be going well enough, but I still have a long way to go, so stick around for that. Okay, so aside from some last minute touch-ups, the statue is complete, and I have some thoughts. The overall shape, I like it, and I'm surprised by it. I made it a lot bigger than I expected to, so there was instantly more pressure on getting it right, but it worked out, and I can't explain why. I took my time, yes, but I'm really not used to this kind of subject. I almost never draw stuff like this, maybe only 2 or 3 times if I remember correctly. And so I thought I'd have a much harder time, and this would end up looking a lot wackier than it does. Also, even though the size increased, it's still too small for me to hone any of the subtler features, particularly in the face. So that went pretty vague, pretty fast. Last thing, she looks stiff. Yeah, she's made of metal, so I'd hope so. But my rendition doesn't have much of flow to it, and that's definitely not the word I want, but I guess we'll roll with it. She just looks like she's copied from like a stamp or something, and not this huge 3-dimensional statue. Maybe that makes sense, maybe not, but I think you catch my drift. Onto the church. Well, I don't think there's anything blatantly wrong with it, but by the end, it only adds to that stiff, lifeless, flat feeling that I'm sensing here. There's very little life to this part of the drawing, despite my efforts to counteract that. Over time, I will add loads of texture, I'll include some shading, and I do try to imply this, lower down perspective. But overall, none of that worked the way I'd hoped, and that flatness sustains all the way to the end. In particular, I don't love that this looks like I'm a mile away, and I've taken a photo with some ridiculously long lens. I kind of like having the distortion that you can see in the reference. The church widens considerably as it approaches the ground, but in my drawing of it, everything, again, it's all just so flat, and it looks like I'm almost even with like this lower roof on the right, which is clearly not the case. I wanted this to look a lot more dramatic, but this flat lifelessness takes all of that away, to the detriment of the final drawing, in my opinion. So yeah, while I think this one works in a few ways I really wasn't expecting, it does lack some critical things that would have made it something special. The statue was still a welcome surprise. I like it when I look at it, but I don't think that takes this from fine to great. If anything, I think it brings it up to fine from, I don't know, somewhere lower down. It's not that I dislike it. I just think this could have gone better, but maybe I'm delusional. So I'd love to know what you think. Leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and send a fax to a foreign friend telling them about this channel. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.